In calculating a rent that you would quote a tenant, obviously the most important guide is what is the marketplace allowing you to quote. Is your competition for an equivalent building at a rental level that is competitive with you? So for example, where I said to you a little while ago, here in downtown Tampa, for our Wells Fargo building, we're quoting right now about $30 per square foot. If there were an equivalent quality building quoting 25 right across the street, it would be very difficult for me to quote 30. Now, having said that, there are other factors that go into the quote. And one of the biggest single items is how much tenant improvement construction are you providing to the tenant? And that's a big wild card that can vary enormously from one tenant to the other. So if the tenant says, hey, I want the Taj Mahal to be built out, I need, mahogany walls, and I need plush carpets and executive suite, the kind of thing you'd see on Park Avenue in a $200 per square foot building. Those costs, construction costs, are very expensive. And our ability to amortize them depends upon how much lease term we get. So in developing a quote, if a tenant said to us, hey, I need $50 per square foot of upfront construction dollars to fit out my space, to build it out to my specifications, we might say, if they were only willing to take a 4 or 5 year lease, we might move that rent up to $32 a square foot or $33. But if they were to say to me, okay, Larry, we'll take a 10 or 15 year lease, then I'd probably feel more comfortable leasing to them at $30 per square foot, because I have a much longer ability to amortize my upfront investment. So the lease term, how long a lease term is, and the construction dollars all weigh into how much rent you're going to quote to the particular tenant. If a tenant says, hey, I'm going to come into your space, take it as is, and you don't have to do a damn thing, and just, I'm going to move in tomorrow morning, and I'm going to sign a lease and move in tomorrow morning, meaning there's no downtime and no construction, I might be willing to rent that space for less than $30 per square foot. So those are the kind of factors that weigh into how rents are quoted. There's not an exact science to the math, because the constraint is, as I said before, what is the building across the street, 3 blocks away and a mile away? What are they renting at? And so those are our starting points. And most of your computation goes into assessing what is the availability of competitive space and what you think you can get. What is the highest rent that you think you can get to make a reasonably prompt deal? Percentage rent leases are relegated to retail leases almost exclusively. They're not a factor in office buildings. Typically, a percentage rent will state that over a certain dollar volume that the tenant makes in the store in gross revenue, above that percentage, above that volume, then the tenant will pay a percentage of his gross revenue. So, for example, let's suppose the tenant is renting for $30 per square foot in a retail space, and you agree that the break point is $5 million, that if that particular tenant reaches up above $5 million, you might say, okay, I get now an extra 5% on any incremental dollars above the 5 million. So let's suppose in year one, that tenant produces a $6 million revenue. The rent would be $30 per square foot times the square footage, plus there would be an incremental percentage rent of 5% times $1 million, or $50,000 more.